Oh god, ladies and gents, these people just keep coming back. Bilal Fallah and Adi El Arbi. These are the Batgirl directors. They legitimately believe this film could have been in the running for Oscar contention. Now, obviously, that's very easy for them to say because no one's ever going to see this film. But make no mistake, this film was trashed when it was screened. When it did its test screening, it was trashed. Now, cast your minds back. Those test screenings happened. Everyone who was a shill reported that it was a massive success, huge hit. I come out the exact same day and go, I've actually heard it's really bad. As in awful. Month later, it gets binned off. Who do you think's telling the truth? Who do you think? Who do you think has better sources? Anyway, these people, they just keep talking. They just keep talking. And I get it, because it's the one that got away. But seriously, Oscar contention? Look, the Oscars are meaningless at this point in time. But holy crap, they're not that meaningless. There is still a standard when it comes to the Oscars. But, yeah, funny. Hit subscribe if you're new here, guys. Let's take a look. This is on Yahoo Entertainment. 3 questions for the Batgirl directors who think the shelved DCU film could have been a hit. No, it couldn't. It absolutely couldn't have been. So, filmmaking team Adi El Arbi and Bilal Fallah are currently making the press rounds for their new bold film Rebel. A timely story about 2 Muslim brothers who are coerced into enlisting in a jihadist militia fighting for the Islamic State. But the duo, who are known professionally as Adil and Bilal, can't stop reminiscing about the Batgirl who got away. I think about Batgirl every day, El Arbi says to Yahoo Entertainment. I replay the making of the movie in my head thinking, what should we have done differently? Oh, I don't know, maybe the entire film? But as we say, that was God's plan. We can only hope to come back to DC one day. Probably not if you keep mouthing off about it. Like, seriously. Also, remember, they had sort of, well, out and out stated that there was an attempt for them to steal the film from the DC servers. They went to check and it was completely deleted. Yeah, obviously. Because they knew you were going to try and take it. So originally intended as a movie for HBO Max, Batgirl pitted Grace's vigilante against costumed arsonist Firebug, played by Brendan Fraser, actually, of all people. Which, that's the sad part. It would have been nice to see Brendan Fraser, but then also, would it have been? But the opposing train of thought to that is, well, as good as it would have been to see Brendan Fraser, would that have ruined his comeback? Which it potentially could have been, to be fair, I reckon. Now, they obviously, wheeled out Michael Keaton, got him back as well, because they knew that they needed someone else to sell the film. But here we have it. So, what happened? Well, obviously it got binned off. And then El Arbi and Fallah say that they were too busy working on Bad Boys 4 to see Blue Beetle in theatres, so that's hilarious. Oh, we're going to have to catch up. Yeah, sure. I don't think anyone else really cared too much about that film either. Now they say this. It was really a blend between Nolan and Burton. We've seen the behind the scenes. It definitely wasn't. Gotham City was more realistic world and the story was very straightforward and emotional. It was more of an actor's movie without a lot of visual effects. We don't really like CGI, so we used a lot of miniatures. There was this one great action sequence where a truck crashed into a tunnel and we did it with miniatures like Burton did it in Batman. It remains the coolest thing we've ever done in movies. It was old school filmmaking and we'll do it again. Things like that sound good, by the way. I'm not hating on that. I think stuff like that does actually sound cool. But to say that this was a realistic world is nonsense because this individual, this version of Batgirl, had no training and just became Batgirl. Okay, sure, whatever. But here we have this. Here's the questions. Would Batgirl have been a hit had it been released? It's tough to say. The movie didn't have a high enough budget, and I think that's a big part of it. We had to keep the budget low, so it was a very grounded story, but the fact that the budget wasn't that high already would have helped it be a success. People do love the Bat family. They love Batgirl, they love Gotham City, they love Michael Keaton, and Brendan Fraser gave an Oscar-worthy performance in the movie. Fair enough. I mean, You know, I doubt it. Even Brendan Fraser, as good as he is only good as the material he's given. And the movie was supposed to be for streaming, which allows you freedoms that you don't get in theatres. If it was a theatrical movie, we might have needed to have had bigger action sequences than we had, but we'll never know. Hopefully we can come back to DC and show what we can really do. It's like unfinished business. We've got to prove ourselves one day. Sure. So, I mean, that is realistically it. There's not too much else to this. They talk about the film Rebel, which, look, I'm not remotely interested in something like this. You know, watching people get indoctrinated and, you know, go off to fight for the, you know, the Islamic State. I could not care less. I've only got to switch on the news to find out stuff about that. I don't want to watch that in a, you know, in a movie as well, just because it's not remotely entertaining, and you know, we have enough crap in our day-to-day lives. But you know, they really do big themselves up quite a lot. I mean, to say that Brendan Fraser would have given an Oscar-worthy performance, I think honestly, as good as Brendan Fraser is, I mean, that's plainly nonsense. Because you can only do so much. You can only do so much with the material that you are given, and he would not have been given good material. I mean, if you've seen the suit that he wore on the set, I mean, it was absolutely atrocious, genuinely atrocious. So I do think to myself, you know, holy hell, like, you're not going to be doing much with that, are you? But again, it's you know. It's very easy for these people to come out and say all of this stuff, because inevitably no one's ever going to see it. But again, you know, when you've got the likes of, I mean, this, for instance, although this is massive now, so let's shrink this down to size. When you've got the likes of this, I mean, look at this. Oh yeah, this was going to be a... This, ladies and gents, is a blend between Nolan and Burton. I mean, in what sense? In what sense is this between Nolan and Burton? Are you for real? Are you high? What on earth is going on here? Like, seriously? Seriously? I mean, it's embarrassing. It legitimately looked embarrassing. Look at this. I mean, look, obviously, you know, this is Leslie Grace with a little kid, but that is the costume that she was going to wear. Nolan? Nolan, you say? Which Nolan's that? Anyway... Love to hear your thoughts. Oscar-worthy performance? Yeah, I think not.